Newfoundland Retro presents The Sealing Debate.
It just breaks our heart, and I couldn't even get a minute enjoyment out of going out on the ice knowing what is to come. You know, if I'd have gone out there in an ecotouristic way and thought, oh, aren't they beautiful, aren't they lovely, but I just can't help but look at them and having a baby ourselves thinking, can you imagine you have a baby and it's just taken away from you in the most horrific manner? It's just unbearable.
We're back. Remaining with us, Sir Paul McCartney and Lady Heather Mills McCartney on this issue of the sea hunt, and we're joined now in St. John's by Danny Williams, Newfoundland and Labrador Premier. And you have heard, Danny, the statements in the past half hour. What's your overall response concerning your government's position to the seal hunt?
Well, first of all, Larry, let me welcome you to Canada, and I want to thank the McCartneys and yourself for this opportunity to basically state our case. Just so your own viewers can get some orientation, Newfoundland and Labrador is the most easterly point in North America. And I know from your award-winning shows on September 11th, we had 70 American planes came down here, and 13,000 of the passengers, American passengers, found homes in Newfoundland and Labrador for about a week. So we had them welcomed them into our homes and welcomed them into our hearts. And some of those homes were homes that were occupied and owned by sealers and their families. So I just want to give you some relativity, and I'm sure you already know, but I'd like your viewers to know that as well. I thank you for the opportunity. I may start off by, I think, my concern here is that the McCartneys are not completely informed. I recognize that they're active. I recognize their zeal. I love animals myself. I have two of my three daughters, all three daughters actually, but two are animal lovers in the biggest kind of a way. So for the record, I want to state that certainly myself and my people in Newfoundland and Labrador don't condone inhumane activity towards animals, nor do we condone hunting or fishing that would lead to the extinction or endangerment of any species. I want to make that very clear for the record. Having said that, I want to start off with just a quote from the World Wildlife Federation. I actually had an email from them this morning because they knew that I was going on with you this evening and had this opportunity. They emailed to let us know that their support, that they felt that this was not a conservation issue. And I also want to read a quote from a group of veterinarians that were hired by the World Wildlife Fund. They said that the sea harvest is conducted in a humane way, and the veterinarians concluded that the Canadian harp seal hunt is professional and highly regulated by comparison with seal hunts in Greenland and the North Atlantic. It has the potential to serve as a model to improve humane practice and reduce seal suffering with the other hunts. So I think it's important that we state the other side of the case, and I'm very concerned that the McCartneys are not getting all the information.
So Greenland are actually boycotting your products because they're disgusted at how inhumane your seal hunt is.
If I had an opportunity, Heather, just for a minute, and I've just got to caution you. I was concerned in your statements where you talk about inhumane and barbaric and archaic. And last night...
Sorry, I don't mean... Let me clear that. I don't mean barbaric. That's just a terminology I use with landmines. I find it archaic, brutal, and cruel.
Okay, archaic may have been a fair term in the past, and I do appreciate you saying that, because that was something that concerned me. The other comment that concerned me last night was when you compared this to clubbing young babies, young human babies, and you know, I think that that's actually taking the argument to the extreme. But
I didn't actually say that last night. I didn't say that last night. I said, can you imagine if somebody took your baby away at 1 month and it was told it was an independent adult, as a lot of the pups are clubbed at 1 month old?
I'm dumb on this.
So let's clear that up.
Danny, let me ask you, why must they be clubbed?
Well, let me tell you two things. First of all, the comment that was made last night was that, you know, a baby bludgeoned to death. And again, that's sensational, and that doesn't help the McCartney's arguments, nor does it help our argument. First of all, the information that hasn't been given is that 90% of these seals are killed by bullet. They're not all clubbed. This was a practice in the past. The Hackapit club that was used years ago was a Norwegian instrument that was deemed to be the most efficient way of killing seals. But in fact now 90% of all seals are actually killed by bullet. It's very effective, it's very efficient, and it's very quick. There's another aspect which I'd like to really point out to you, that This seal herd since 1970 has grown, it has tripled. It has gone from 2 million seals to 5.8 million seals. That's actually 12 times every person in Newfoundland and Labrador. If we allow this seal population to completely overpopulate, the inhumane consequences of that is that these seals will starve. We now have a situation where some of these seals...
These seals represent the seals of not just Canada, but right up to Greenland. It's completely normal for there to be millions of seals. So let's put it into the right context. I
got to get one quick break, and we'll come right back. Okay. We'll come right back with Sir Paul McCartney and let Paul get a word in, too. And Lady Heather McCartney and Danny Williams, don't go away.
Ken McLeod is ready for the annual harp seal hunt off Prince Edward Island. He's also prepared for the attention Paul McCartney and the American Humane Society bring to the hunt.
We've come to get used to the fact of celebrities coming up here and the animal rights groups using them to try and fill their coffers for another year.
I'd just like for them to see our side of it, like it's a viable industry. It's been highly regulated, it's well looked after. Just because they say to shut it down, does that give them the right to shut it down?
The Department of Fisheries and Oceans estimates 4,000 to 5,000 people in eastern Canada rely on the hunt and the $20 million it provides to the local economy. So there's a lot riding on the actions of celebrities like McCartney.
It could mean $10,000 to $20,000 for every member of the crew, which is significant this time of year. It sure helps catch up the winter's bills.
DFO is accusing the American Humane Society of spreading false information about the hunt.
We're back, and before Danny Williams speaks again, Paul, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'd like to take Danny's point there that what happened in the 50s and 60s was there was an over-culling of the seal population, and they dropped to a dangerously low level, where then the government had to step in and actually stop happening in order to maintain the population. What is happening now is over the last 3 years, that level of killing is happening again. And so even though at this moment in time there may be enough seals, the population could drop in the same way as it did in the 50s and 60s. And this is what we feel could be dangerous.
Paul, I can assure you that, I'm in possession of all the facts on this. There are about 3%, and that's all of the seals that are actually been taken.
But
and when I had the opportunity...
Your department actually assured us that the cod levels wouldn't go down. The year before, they had to stop the fishing because the cod levels, you're the same department that assured the cod levels were fine.
You see, Danny,
what I was about...
All right, let Danny finish and then Paul. Danny?
What I was about to say, Paul, is that what's actually happening on the ground in Newfoundland and Labrador is we are now finding that some of these starving seals are actually going into freshwater rivers in order to feed. That's actually happening. And another misconception, which was corrected for you last night, I understand that on the plane last night on the way to Prince Edward Island, that you were on the misunderstanding that this species was in danger. But an official from DFO indicated to you that this species was actually strengthening significantly and has now the herd has grown to 3 times the quantity in the 70s. So the species is very, very safe.
Danny. No, that is true at this moment, as I say. But this is the kind of thing that happened, that people were saying before the 50s and the 60s. And then they reached dangerously low levels, which then did lead to the underpopulation, and you were in serious danger then. And you now are killing the seals at the same levels. For the last 3 years, you've been killing the seals at the same levels as happening in the 50s and 60s. So there is this possibility. Now, also, this gentleman you mentioned that we did meet on the plane. He came up and he said, can I put our side of the argument? And we said, yeah, of course you can. We're not coming here just to tell the Canadians what to do. We're interested in the debate. We want to find out for ourselves. He said, and we said, well, the first thing we are hearing, and we've heard it from a lot of people, I heard it from a local MP, is that the real reason why you need to keep this seal population down is because they are depleting the cod stock. Now, the man from the DFO himself said that is not true. And so it isn't true.
Paul,
in fact, the harp seals themselves kill a lot of the cod predators. And the only single reason that the cods have been depleted so much is human overfishing.
Paul, you haven't heard me say that that's the reason. There is some evidence that that could be part of the reason, but that's not why the seal hunt takes place.
Well, what do you make of the argument that most of them are shot, Heather?
Well, it's just not true. It's complete and absolute rubbish. It's just not true. Most of them are shot and clubbed, and a hacky pick thing, which is a tall, long hook, and then they hit them once with it and drag them along the ground. And they only use the one bullet, again, because it's used for fur. It's not used for any other thing. And
there are two main hunts here, too. Where we went out yesterday, that's for the young seals. That is where most of the clubbing takes place. And I think what Danny's talking about, there is another seal hunt that happens from boats, and that is at the front. And I think that is probably where most of the shooting occurs. But the point is, you know, however it's done, the thing is, I defy you to show any reasonable-minded person this footage and get them to say, you know, that looks humane to me.
We'll take a break and come back, and I'll ask Danny to justify it as stated by Heather. Don't go away.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share.